and the excitement and euphoria slowly wear off, you will come to the haunting realization that you still have 3 days of descending. Number 2.
You got a better chance of climbing rock bottom from SpongeBob than climbing that mountain if anything. I'm taking that risk. I'm climbing rock bottom. Forget that. What's up guys, the Anthill here, and today we have another video called The Deadliest Mountains in the World by Good Enough. Honestly, aren't they all deadly? Like, isn't every mountain have a chance to kill you? If this is deadly, if number 5 is deadly, how is number 1 death sentence? How can it get worse than deadly? It's all deadly to me. But without further ado, let's get right into it.
Let's start with the deadly and slowly work our way towards the ones that are pretty much a death sentence.
Okay.
Number 5, Mount Everest. Well, I bet you...
Okay, you already did instantly. I heard about all the bodies on Mount Everest. You done? How can it get worse than Mount Everest?
Didn't expect to see this one at the top of the list. Mount Everest is one of the deadliest mountains on Earth, claiming the lives of over 340 people. Now, if climbing Everest is on your bucket list, you might as well delete it now. Not because you lack the discipline or the endurance,
It's pretty,
even though both are true, but because the mountain is exclusively for the rich. Since climbing the mountain will cost you anywhere from $30,000 to $160,000.
Why don't I just run up there? Who gonna stop me? Is the mountain fenced? I can't just run up the mountain. Good luck, losers, and then I just die. I'm like, well, should have paid that $30,000.
Now, of course, everyone who makes it back alive says that the high price tag is worth it, since it pretty much guarantees that you will always have something to talk about at cocktail parties.
Death.
The cheaper packages will get you a Sherpa that has maybe made the climb once or twice in his life, while the more expensive packages will get you a Sherpa that has been making the climb since he could walk, and is strong enough to hike you out on his back if it comes down to it. But let's
6
talk about what
hours?
makes Mount Everest so
You'll come out
deadly,
strong as hell.
starting with the dangers that you will encounter the moment you arrive. You can fall off the mountain,
Yeah.
fall through the mountain,
Yeah. Wait, what?
become the mountain,
What?
and the all-time classic, the mountain falls on you. If you're lucky enough to make it to the
Mountain
first base
falls on
camp,
you.
well, you better get comfortable, since you will be spending the next 2 to 3 months there. And with no Wi-Fi or electronics, you will be going life and death with boredom, as your
No
body...
electronics? I'm good. I got content to make. I can't have no electronics. I got people to call. I got to make sure I'm doing well. I don't know if service even works really good up there.
He slowly acclimatizes to the altitude change, a necessary step to lower your odds of getting altitude sickness. But after a couple of months, it's finally time to begin your journey.
Okay.
As you work your way from Camp 1 to Camp 2,
There's multiple
3,
camps.
and finally 4, you will face an
Is that how big the mountain
entirely
is?
different set of dangers. You see, the entire time you've been worried about the mountain trying to kill you,
what is
but the
that?
thing that could end up taking you out
death?
is yourself.
Oh.
Since it's very common for climbers to develop cerebral edema, a condition where the brain swells due to low amounts of oxygen, which can quickly turn deadly. Then there's high altitude pulmonary
Did they eat an
edema,
airhead?
which is a condition where the blood vessels in the lungs constrict, leading to fluid buildup, and again, can quickly become a death sentence.
it's like
But let's just say you're
breathing
one
in
of the
water.
lucky few who make it to Camp 4 perfectly
like a
healthy,
foot.
which is great since you're gonna need that energy for the final push to the summit, which also happens to be the deadliest portion of the entire mountain, and is where the majority of deaths occur. And as you push your body to its absolute limit, you will struggle to catch your breath through your oxygen mask. Soon,
So it's
your
been
lungs
awareness
begin
then.
to scream in agonizing pain as they feel like they're on fire, with your legs,
How the
hips,
heck?
and back feeling like they will give out on you at any moment. But you just continue to tell yourself, one more step,
It's a mountain.
knowing
How do
that
you get
all
fire in your
suffering
lungs?
must eventually come to an end. And what felt like an eternity later, you finally reach the moment you have dreamed of and worked so hard for.
Death.
You have successfully made it to the back of the line, where you will
What?
have to wait for hours and hours to get what you came for. Which, of
There's a
course,
line?
was always a picture you could use for your social media
thought they
profiles.
just climbed it.
Number 4, Kanchenjunga. The danger quickly takes a massive jump from our last entry. Located on the border of Nepal and India lies the 3rd tallest mountain on Earth, Kanchenjunga. The mountain has a
name is
hefty
crazy.
21% fatality rate and has only been conquered by 312 people. Now, you're
this is a
probably
80
wondering, why on earth would anyone choose to climb a
79%.
smaller and way more dangerous mountain than Everest? Well,
Because
it's
the risk.
obvious. Since in the very rare case that you meet someone who has
Squidward,
climbed Everest,
again.
you'll be able to say, "Psh, that's it," and walk away.
I climbed hard.
Now,
Some harder
before
than
we talk about what makes this mountain so deadly, let's first cover all the benefits of choosing this mountain over Everest.
Okay.
It's cheaper. And now that we've covered
That's it?
all of the benefits, let's talk about all of the negatives and what
No, that
makes it
cheaper is probably like
incredibly deadly.
6,000.
Now, of course, you will be facing all of the dangers that come with climbing tall mountains, like avalanches, falls,
Yep.
brain swelling, blindness, and everything in
Blindness?
between. But the dangers that are specific to
bomb
this
come?
mountain are its truly challenging climbing sections that require actual skill. Unlike Everest, there are no ladders to help you cross over deep crevasses. So you either have to create new
Crevasse?
alternate
Thought it was
routes
crevice.
or have previously competed in the long jump. There also aren't hundreds of climbers that you can follow to its peak,
We're a leprechaun.
since you and your crew will more than likely be the only ones on the entire mountain. Now, at first, you might think this sounds like a benefit, since you won't have to deal with the long line at the peak. But think again. This also means that in an emergency, it would be highly unlikely that you would ever receive any outside help, thanks to
Why?
the mountain's extremely remote location. But perhaps the most terrifying thing about this mountain is its severe weather changes that come without warning. Heavy rainfall, wind, and snow can show up within minutes and can quickly turn deadly. And even if you're one of the lucky few who reach the top of the mountain, you still wouldn't be allowed to step foot on its summit, since the mountain is considered sacred by the locals. Doing so would not only be extremely disrespectful, but would also guarantee you a solo descent to the bottom. Number 3, Nanga Parbat. Nanga Parbat, better known as the Killer Mountain, is located deep in the mountains of Pakistan. It is the 9th highest mountain on Earth, with a whopping fatality rate of around 22%. Now, at first glance, the mountain looks pathetic, and even looks like a mountain you could climb with a good night's sleep. But boy, would you be wrong. The mountain has only been successfully summited by 261 people and has claimed the lives of 62, many of whose bodies remain on the mountain to this day. Some lay deep in crevasses, while others remain on the side of the trail. Like on many of the tall mountains, removing and carrying the bodies down is just too dangerous, and they will more than likely remain on the mountain until we have the technology to bring them back to life.
Black Ops ray gun. That's my shit.
But let's talk about what makes this mountain so deadly compared to the others on the list. Not only are you dealing with all the previous dangers that come with climbing tall mountains, but now you must face one of the most challenging and exhausting climbs on Earth.
Abominable snowman. Yep, I'm claiming it. Abominable snowman. They're gonna be in the way. They're gonna try to knock you down. You gotta fight them. Yep, I already know it. Yep, case closed.
Here, all of the skills you have learned at your local indoor rock climbing gym will be tested. Since the mountain is home to the Rupal face, the deadliest and highest mountain face in the world. It spans over 15,000 feet with an average slope of 50 degrees. But for hypothetical sake, let's just say you managed to make it up the face. Well, sorry to break it to you, but you would still have another 4 to 6 days of climbing before you reach the summit. And once you snap your little picture and the excitement and euphoria slowly wear off, you will come to the haunting realization that you still have 3 days of descending. Number 2.
You got a better chance of climbing rock bottom from SpongeBob than climbing that mountain, if anything. I'm taking that risk. I'm climbing rock bottom. Forget that.
K2. Again, we take another jump in danger. K2 is located in Pakistan and is the 2nd highest mountain on Earth, only behind Mount Everest. There have only been 377 climbers who have reached its summit, with the mountain claiming the lives of 96 climbers, giving it an enormous 26% fatality rate. But let's get right to it and talk about what makes this mountain so deadly and different from the rest of the 8,000 plus meter mountains.
This one has abominable snowman. I'm calling it. Yep.
It all comes down to this terrifying section called the bottleneck. And if that doesn't sound scary enough, well, maybe the frozen mummies and skeletons around the site will make you reconsider.
Never mind.
Now, of course, this would also be a great time to check your equipment before attempting the deadly section, since this is one of the rare opportunities where you will have the chance to upgrade your gear. To see just how deadly this section can be.
You get to loot. Ain't that kind of messed up, looting dead bodies? We get to loot stuff. This is real life for.
We just have to take a look at an incident that occurred in 2008 when 11 climbers lost their lives in an instant due to an ice avalanche. But let's just say you're one of the lucky few who survived all of the dangers and worked your way past the bottleneck. Well, you would still have to climb another section called the Summit Peak, which is yet another challenging stretch that will push you to your physical limits. And if you're one of the very few people to get past this section, you will be rewarded with one of the most beautiful views in the world. But here's the thing. Just because you made it to the top of the mountain doesn't mean you're safe. Because the horrifying reality is
the atmosphere. Let me guess.
That roughly 80% of deaths actually occur on the descent when you are completely exhausted and not thinking straight. Number 1, Annapurna. Deep in Nepal's mountain range sits the deadliest mountain on Earth. The mountain is only the 10th highest mountain on the planet, Now, I know what you're thinking.
It's the 10th highest, but why isn't it the dangerous? Like, you would think the highest would be the dangerous.
The deadliest mountain on Earth sounds like a complete pipsqueak.
Yeah.
But don't let its height fool you.
Oh, I'm not.
This challenge is exclusively for
Look at these
professional
crazy
climbers.
looking dudes.
And even then, 1/3 of those professional climbers never make it back alive or at all.
He's a professional.
Annapurna has an enormous 32% fatality rate.
It's only
There
going
have
higher.
only been 365 people that have reached the summit, while 72 climbers have lost their lives in the attempt. But let's get right into it and talk about what makes this mountain the deadliest in the world. From the moment you begin your climb out of Camp 1, the mountain will try to kill you.
What?
With every step you take, you must remain laser focused, making sure to avoid the hundreds of cracks and gaps in the ice, which could easily take you on the most unexpected slip and slide.
The ice life
Now,
from Mario
if you make it
64.
to Camp 2, you will need some much deserved rest. Well, that's if you can even sleep, since
Yeah, rest in peace.
avalanches hitting campsites are not uncommon from this point on, and occur at much higher rates than any of the other high mountains. But let's just say you're one of the lucky few who managed to get a good night's sleep and begin to make your way to Camp 3. From here on out, the odds of you running into a storm are very high, since hurricane-level winds, blizzards, and storms are very common and come without warning.
Where'd a cow come from?
And if by some
Why does a cow
miracle you
always
reach
got-
Camp 3, you can rest easy knowing that you were completely surrounded by deep crevasses that don't seem
Like
to
Elden
have
Ring?
an end.
Or is that from
This is
Attack on Titan?
probably where I would just turn around, as it's starting to not seem worth it. But again, if you happen to make
Crazy.
it through the night once more, you will now make your way to the final camp, Camp 4, which will require you to climb a vertical wall of snow and ice. And the dangers of ice avalanches coming down on you and your team are very real. They are actually so common that most climbers are pretty much guaranteed to see at least one. But if by some miracle and stroke of luck, all your hard work pays off and you
Gonna have a
reach the
stroke.
peak, you will finally be rewarded with one of the most beautiful views in the world.
Death. I keep saying that. Death, right?
So much so that you can almost say the climb was worth it.
Okay. Where's the death? Goodness, man. And I'm like, wait, it's the 10th highest mountain. You would think, like, wait, the 10th highest? I thought the first highest would be the most dangerous, but apparently it's some underestimated mountains. Where was the abominable snowman when you needed it? Man, you can't have nothing in this world. Jeez. But anyway, that's going to be this video. How about let's just stick to staying on the land without climbing any higher or going any deeper like underwater. You probably got a better chance of climbing those mountains than surviving underwater, because at least then you don't have any threats like them damn creatures. All you got is snow and maybe the abominable snowman. Okay, look, I'm just where's he at? Come on, man. I want to see it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you want. Keep it chill, and until next time, peace out.